Hi, this is Mark with your analysis for the week commencing the 12th of December. A very frustrating week last week. We had lots of small niggly moves, smaller daily ranges than normal, and very little follow through. But if you have a look on lots of the pairs this week, there are many triangle breakouts brewing. And triangle breakouts are usually very explosive moves. And the best thing about a triangle breakout is the nearer price gets to the point of the triangle, as in here on the euro dollar on a weekly, the nearer it gets to the point, the more explosive is the move. And the theory being that the distance between the top and the bottom of the triangle, the middle figure there says 1368, that suggests on a weekly move there is almost 1400 pips worth of movement to come on the euro in the coming weeks. On a daily chart, this is the euro USD on a daily, and I am more akin to trade most of these things this week from daily charts. This is the euro USD on a daily, and once more we have the triangle breakout forming. We're getting nearer and nearer to the point, and therefore we expect the move to be explosive. What I want with the euro USD, I want the euro USD to break down. I want it to come down through this lower trend line, pull back to it, and then short with a view to a possible decent move down here, possibly 300 pips to the most recent low, and if the triangle theory works, then we would be looking at 600 pips movement altogether. What I don't want to do is, if it breaks out in an upward trend, upward range here, I won't take this, because this 200 is in the way, and then just above it we've got this weekly 55 EMA, and we have this daily 55 and 34. So what I would be interested with the euro USD, I say plan A is I would like a break and a close below here please, with a pullback for a short. However, if price gets back up here around 34.30, this is not a triangle breakout theory, this is just simply a continuation plus a pullback on a daily move. I would look for a short here with a view to the big move down. This is the pound dollar on a weekly, and last week we had, between the open and the close, I think it was about 40 pips worth of movement, and it battered and battered and battered against this major support and resistance area here. This is the daily 55 EMA, we have this 158.100, and then we had 158.40. For me, this is too difficult to trade from weekly, unless you look at a pullback here to the 50% line, which also happens to be the trend line. So 155.50 area, I would be interested to long, and I will be interested to half stake short at 160 should price break up here. This is the pound dollar on the daily. Once more, we have this triangle situation here. On a daily, I would not look to short this. If we get a triangle breakout down here, I wouldn't want to take it because of the fact that this weekly 55 and the daily 200 is in the way. So as I said to you just now, for the weekly chart, I want it to break and close below here, then look for a pullback for a short. If we were to look for a long on this pair from a triangle breakout, then you would be looking here, 158.40 area. You want a break and a close above, and then a pullback to the line with a view to a long. And I actually quite fancy this, and the reason I quite fancy this is my stop needs to be here at 60 to 70 pips below this 55 EMA, which has been a major area of support and resistance. And the reason why I like that idea is that risking 60 pips for a potential 160 pip gain back up to 1600, it's more than 1 to 2 risk reward ratio, that would be very interesting. So tempting to go long here, not to go short on the daily. Dollar Swissy, same scenario, we have this triangle situation. I would not be interested to long from this point, because if we get the break of the triangle, we have 99.12 has been major resistance, and just up above that there is the huge area of 100 again. So what I would prefer is a break and close below this bottom trend line with a pullback for a short. Plan B will be, if price comes back up to 99.12 tomorrow, I will be interested to short, but not for the triangle breakout, but because we're in a downtrend and it has been a major area of resistance. This is the dollar yen. Dollar yen, we have a triangle forming like this, and the important areas here for me on the dollar yen would be a possible long around 83.10, which is the trend line and 50% fib intersection, and this daily 55, and it really probably 83.20. The difficulty is This has been a strong area of support and resistance previously. Conversely, if price gets up here later in the week, I would be looking for a half stake short here, 84.36. So let's say 84.20, allowing for spreads and it not quite getting there. So I would be interested primarily in a short. If price breaks and closes out of here and closes above the 78.6, I would be very interested to long this pair. So these lines here are the areas of interest, and it's a case of what is price going to do here. So you need to be able to take the plan different options. The final option is if we get a break of this lower trend line moving down and a close below, then you look for a pullback. So these are the areas. Here and here are the major areas of interest for me. This is gold, and I showed you the week before in last Sunday's update. I was saying if price came up here, it was likely to return again, and I don't trade gold, but I use it for clues for the Aussie dollar. Showed you during the week how the closing of the Bollinger Band was a big clue again. So the main areas for gold of interest would be counter trend half stake short here or along here, but we would use that for the Aussie dollar. And the Aussie dollar, there is a potential very lively opening stage with this. China has posted some big news over the weekend, and they're still having big problems with inflation. Australian dollar, Australian economy is closely linked to China as it's a big trading partner. And to further compound it, just before the market open, the Bank of Australia governor speaks. And that's terrible timing for the markets, because if he says something controversial, there could be some huge gaps at market open. For the Aussie dollar for the week ahead, the main areas of interest, what I would really like is price to break below 97.27, this area here, 97.20, pull back with a view to a short, because if it can break below this area, there is nothing in the way to get in the way that we could have hundreds of pips worth of movement here. However, this has been a strong area of support, and if price starts to come down here and stalls and on smaller time frames starts to turn, you would then be looking for a long. On the way up, you have this upper trend line and previous resistance around 99.20. It's messy, very messy is the Aussie dollar. I wouldn't want to start longing here because the chances of it bouncing off 100 again would be very strong. If it comes up to here, I would be interested in a counter trend short. And as you know, if it's counter trend, half the stake. Aussie dollar yen. Aussie dollar yen, another one that is coming up to this major area of resistance. And last week we had a decent short here on the Thursday. But once more, it didn't go a massive distance. Then we're not getting the full moves that we would like. But the main areas for the Aussie dollar yen to consider are a short here, half stake, 82.70, shall we say, so really in its current area. See what happens at the market open. If this Bollinger Band was to close, then I would definitely look to trade it. If the Bollinger Band stays open, it is a concern because the weekly is open as well. So wait until after the Australia governor speaks and see what happens. This then is the line. What we look for is either a bounce back down, or if price breaks through and closes above tomorrow, then we look for a further move up. Conversely, if price was to pull back down again, then the major area to consider along would be 81.35 area. Euro yen, another potential triangle breakout here. You could bring the line down here. My main area of interest here is still to short at 112, because we have the EMAs here. We've got 50% fib, and it has been previous support and resistance. The flip side would be if it breaks, then obviously look for a break, close and pullback. I'm more interested, I would like this pair, if this pair was to break below this trend line, then I would be much more interested then for a break and a close and a pullback to say 111 with a view to a decent short. Euro pound on the weekly. Last week we'd had this hanging man complete indecision candle. The candle did this week's candle, the week just closed, did come back up to 85, and I was in and out of this, but it was all for little gains. And then when you look on here on the weekly, well, the weekly move, it went 130 pips. My areas of interest with this are, I would be interested to short at 85 if it was to get all the way back up here, with my stop just the other side of the old trend line. If it comes down here, be wary. 83.30 was a double bottom and price had spiked there the other week. Counter trend traders would be interested for a half state long back up here. Personally, I'd be more interested if price breaks and closes below here. I would be interested in a pullback with a view to a short. Final one is the CAD. Don't often trade it. It's very frustrating and very annoying, but I do have an area of interest. 1.0150 has been important in recent weeks. Last week price almost spiked up to it again. We have this 55 EMA. We've got this rather messy trend line still in play. Therefore, I would be interested for a short here, and the reason why I'm interested is that my stop only needs to be 30-40 pips away above the 55 and the trend line, and I am looking for a potential move of 135 pips down here to the recent low and this trend line. Recent low is around just below 1 for 1, but we do have this trend line in place, so I would be more inclined to look for a target of say 10020. As I say, the good thing about it is the risk reward ratio on this one is 1 to 3, 1 to 4, almost 1 to 5, so definitely worth a look this week. This week could well be a decent week. Don't be dispirited because Christmas is coming up. Because Christmas is late the following week, I do suspect that we could have some big movement. There is a lot of major news this week, including FOMC on Tuesday. So we need to play this day by day, because what will happen is, for example, on Monday we have big British pound news. We also have a lot of speeches this week. Trichet speaks on Monday, Canada governor speaks. During the week there are quite a few members of the Bank of England Policy Committee. So there's loads going on this week, and because we've had a week of little movement and little follow through, then sometimes this big news can be the catalyst we need to give us some big moves and a nice big Christmas present. Have a great week.